Suppose you're an office worker and somebody asks you to take a file and send it to a printer so that they can print the file. Your printer says that they need a PDFX 1A file. PDFX is a standard that Adobe supports, Acrobat supports, and there are several flavors of it. There's also another standard called PDFA, which allows us to archive a file. Okay. Now, if you have a PDF, there are several ways you can convert it to a PDFX or a PDFA file for that matter. And as we go through, I'm going to kind of discuss different examples of why you'd use it. Now, with the document open, we can either do a file save as or an export, or if you have Acrobat3 Professional, you can actually use the advanced and go to pre-flight and actually pre-flight to convert to a file. Now, using save as is going to use the pre-flight engine, I guess you could say, to convert to a PDFX or PDFA file, but it won't do any fix-ups for you. Okay, so by choosing save as, I'll set this on the desktop. Take a look out here under the menu down here. I can see that I've got PDFA and PDFX as two file formats. A is an archival format, which basically means that it's meant to take a document and save it so that in the future you can open it. It's archiving the file. So for instance, you work for a government agency, legal firm, that sort of thing, and you need to save forms, contracts, etc. to be able to be viewed later on. You can use the PDFA file format. PDFA was a standard that has two flavors to it. By clicking on Setting, I can see that there's a PDFA 1A and a PDFA 1B. PDFA 1A conforms with the PDFA archival standard, which is set forth by ISO, at least Section 1. PDFA 1B actually has minimal compliance, I guess you could say, which means that the appearance is actually reproducible over the long term. Okay, so there's two flavors of this. Now, for this document, it's a print document, so what we're going to do is save it as a PDFX file. By choosing PDFX as the save as type down here, or the save down here, and choosing settings, we have a lot of settings we can work with. Acrobat supports three flavors of PDFX. We've got 1A, 3, and the new draft, or the newer draft, I should say, of X4. X4, which is a newer support for Acrobat, allows support for native transparency, as well as layers and other things. Now, this file I'm going to save as a PDFX 1A, and if your printer says, hey, we need a PDFX 1A file, you can choose this. And there's other options in here we can look at. Setting the trap key, basically telling it, putting information in there about saying, is it trapping on or is it trapping off, true and false? What's the output condition? In other words, what's the output intent? Where's it going? That sort of thing. A lot of times if you don't know this sort of thing, you can either ask your printer or leave it as is. By clicking OK, I have my settings set up. I've got my PDFX file once I save. By saving the file, it's going to go through and actually convert, analyzing the page, setting it up. I now have a PDFX 1A file. Now, to be able to test that in Acrobat3 Professional, if I'm coming under Advanced and go to Print Production here, if I go to Pre-Flight, that's the engine it used in the beginning. I can see down here it says it's not yet verified, but it's trying to tell me it's PDFX 1A. If I click on this, it's going to actually verify the file and say, yes, in fact, it is PDFX 1A. Now, by just looking at the outside of the file, you won't be able to tell it's PDFX 1A, but it has some special features in the standard built in. So these are a lot of different things we can do to be able to create a PDFA file, an archival file. Save as, export, using the pre-flight tool in Acrobat3 Professional. Different ways to do that.